However, typically with a plush show, the characters are also flying. They're flying, talking, and somehow floating. Now, there's nothing wrong with those types of plush videos. In fact, that's basically how to make a plush video right there. Just what I just told you. However, here are some tips to make your plush videos stand out and be better than a typical plush video. For you see, when I make a video, I do a few things to keep things professional, such as removing background noise. As you can probably hear, there is actually a fan in the background. Eliminating background noise is essential for making a good professional grade video with some quality in it. Also, the other thing that you want to add is using a camera stand. This is a tiny little stand that I use. Now, it doesn't have to be a tiny stand. It doesn't even have to be a camera stand at all. If you can't get a camera stand, all you really need to do is get something for the camera to go on, and that's good enough. Of course, you probably want it a little bit higher. Now, once you have the camera stand, you provided yourself with two things. First, now you can use both your hands when moving the characters. Also, the camera is no longer shaking, adding a bit of professional grade to your videos. Now, there's nothing wrong with a shaky camera. In fact, you can probably see some shaky camera in professional work. However, typically a cameraman is only shooting. A cameraman is also not moving the characters, being the puppeteer, which causes extra shakiness. Now, if you can get a cameraman, then fine, that works. But if you can't, then you're gonna get this element of like, oh, you need to follow the character at the same time as you're moving them, and sometimes it's, if you're not steady enough, it might get a little bit jumbly. That's not a word. Okay, another tip. Sunlight is your best friend. Typically, sunlight, a much better quality on the character. The HD-ness is like outstanding right now, but if you were to go into like a dark place, the HD kind of falls a little bit flat. The darker you go, the less the camera quality will be. Now, in my current state, I can't really do, this is for the cat. We don't want him to go outside, but he knows how to open up the screen, so we have to put a piece of cardboard there, and it's complicated. Also, something I get complaints from my family is, well, if you have like a pet cat, your plush will get lots of hair on it, and it'll make it look messy. And if you want to make things look more professional, then it's better to remove this cat hair, or dog hair, or whatever hair, before you start filming. Because if you don't, it kind of makes them look dirty, and you don't really want that. These are your actors. Some other important tips. Remember, plush video is always better if it has a script, because scripts are the essence of pretty much anything filmed. If you don't have a script or even like a clear idea inside your head of what you're going to be doing, your video is going to fall flat, and it's not going to be as entertaining. It might be too long, might be too boring. Now, you don't need to be an excellent script writer, and you don't need to make it like a full-fledged script. All you need to do is put out some notes of what you're going to be doing in the episode. That way you can keep track, and you can also plan ahead. You can figure out what you're going to do for the next video, maybe foreshadow the next video in the first video, which is what I do a lot of in my show. If you manage to plan a whole season, then you're able to do lots of really cool things with the script, and do lots of foreshadowing and planning ahead, and have the characters talk about something that's like a season away, which is a very professional grade. Also, be original. You don't have to follow the lines of whatever your plush is coming from. I know that a lot of people use Nintendo plushes, or like, Angry Bird, I hate that so much. Or, trying to think, like Sonic plushes and all that. You don't necessarily have to use Nintendo plush, or any video game plush, or anything at all. The reason why people do is because they like the characters, and they know that there's fans of those characters, so the fans will watch the videos if they're young and they like plush videos. You don't need to do this. In fact, you could probably make a whole plush series about non-video game or anything pop culture characters. The only problem is it'll be tougher to attract fans because they're going to be characters that no one's ever heard of. With that said, I'm using Pikmin, but using a completely different story than Pikmin. Rather than the Pikmin being on the Pikmin planet and collecting treasure and whatnot, they're like people in this weird toy world with the coat of cinder, and they've frickin' Evangelion souls and frickin', yeah, that was the best way of describing it. Try to be as original as possible, because it will make your show better and stand out more compared to other shows. Also, try to add charm into your show. Now, something I really think you guys should avoid, unless you're good at it, is drama. The reason why I have drama in Twig and Pik-pik and why Twig and Pik-pik pretty much runs around just drama is because I believe there isn't enough drama in the plush tube community. However, that does not mean that every single show should be drama. In fact, if you can write comedy, if you are funny, then go with comedy. The other reason why I do drama is because I can't write comedy. Comedy just comes and goes for me. It isn't just like this thing I have. And if you can write your own jokes, then you don't need to worry about drama. You can just use jokes and people will be entertained. If you do write drama though, make sure it's good and not cheesy and has some originality to it. And write a script. Make sure everything is scripted. Like, the big speeches must be scripted, or else it's most likely gonna sound really bad. When you are making a plush video, even though hands are pretty much the fabric of what a plush video is, the best thing to do is just try to avoid as much hand as possible, like I'm doing right now. You can barely even see my hand, but it's there. However, showing less hand does give an element of the character's feeling almost real. Right now you can barely see my hand, and it almost looks like the character is moving on his own. However, at the same time, showing more hand or even doing anything that's not my tips, is a good way of adding satire and almost an ironic take on the typical plush video. Just pretty much making fun of it. If you, watch our Steve videos, we purposely don't follow these tips because it makes a bad plush video. Which is what Steve the Trooper series is supposed to be. Now, typically what I see in a plush video action sequence is this. It's okay, Reiki. It's okay. Now, while that looked, no, that didn't look good at all. You see, I don't typically do that. I tend to do, even though my action sequences aren't good, they are quite bad. It's difficult to do any sort of choreography with a plush. It's actually easier to do it with something like an action figure and stop motion. Problem is, with a plush, you can't really do stop motion. So a lot of it has to come with a bit of an in-between frame slash motion slash video. It's weird. Typically what I do is I take lots of different shots and just edit them so that they look like a good video. Still, in regards to perspective, what I've done here is I've made the enemy look like 3 times bigger than Twig. So it looks like much more of a threat rather than just some thing made of Lego. Because the enemy is an action figure made of Lego, you can simply use stop motion for his actions. You don't need to use any sort of plush related things, which ends up making it look way better. Typically what I do for my stop motion animation is I just keep the video on record and then move him slightly and then remove my hands for a freeze frame. Typically this is not what you normally do for stop motion. That's just how I do it. Normally you just move him, take a picture, move him, take a picture. Problem is I want my quality of the video to be the exact same as my actual live video, and the photo quality kind of sucks compared to the video quality because my camera is a video camera, not a photo taking camera. This is a sped up version of how I do my stop motion. It's not it's not like super professional grade stop motion, but it's good enough. If you do have stop motion, make it the primary focus of your action sequence, because that's what's going to look better than the plush action. Now the enemy looks a ton more like a threat. Can Twig handle it? I think he can. Here, this pretty much shows the difficulty of action sequences with a plush. First of all, you can clearly see my hand right here, which is very, very difficult to pull off unless I was like, here, then you wouldn't be able to see it. So if we move the camera like that, now my hand isn't really in it. Now, it's difficult to really pull off him moving his sword to the side, kind of the same way the Dark Nut did, but maybe with the help of another hand or something, you can kind of pull it off. There you go. Because that's how the game works. Go play Wind Waker. It's amazing. And now he's dead. And that's how you make an action sequence. I also added in some sound effects to make it seem more real. And yeah, there you go, more cat hair. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you take all these tips, add sound effects, add a script, use a camera stand, eliminate background noise, and make it good. You know. And then, yeah, you'll make a really awesome plush video, kind of like the ones you see elsewhere on the internet. Thank you for watching. It's been Pikminjake. Goodbye.